To all attendees, a warm welcome to all of you to this webinar on ChatGPT in healthcare. I'm delighted to be here and to have the opportunity to learn and share the ideas and insights with you. Today we will be discussing the use of ChatGPT in the healthcare industry. As you are aware that healthcare industry is rapidly evolving and technology is playing an increasingly important role in the delivery of healthcare services. And ChatGPT is one such technology that has the potential to transform the healthcare industry in significant ways. During this webinar, we will explore the tool and various applications of ChatGPT in healthcare, whether it include the patient care, diagnosis, treatment, disease surveillance, and many more. We are looking forward to this knowledge exchange with you all and to engaging in a lively and informative discussion on the topic. Now I would like to invite Dr. V.K. Singh, the Managing Director of InnovatioCuris. With over 4 decades of experience in national and international assignments, Dr. Singh is a renowned healthcare professional who has extensive knowledge and expertise in the industry. Dr. Singh, thank you for joining us today. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, Varsha. It has been very fascinating for me to join this session, which I was really following it up on editorials of the newspaper as well as a long discussion on TV. This is something what the medical people have been always telling, that they are threatened by IT people. And why they are threatened? And they think that they will take over most of the functions what medical should do, which I don't believe. One thing, that it is always human touch cannot, or human intelligence cannot be replaced by artificial intelligence, or some people call it assisted intelligence. They should be taken as a tool to help the medical crowd to come to a diagnosis, but the final word should remain with the human being. And that is what it should be understood. And they thought they gradually everything IT will do, and the doctors will not be really required to do so, right up to the robotic surgery to everything. I do understand that what we have seen a rapid technology transforming healthcare, but it should be really taken as assisting us and not overtaking. That's not possible. I was talking to some of the people who have become more IT fellows, doctors of what I mean, rather than the health sector people. And those are the people who say IT is better, 5 days a week, work from home, no risk involved, and better pay. So I think that is what the health sector, many of the doctors have joined in, and that is what is a wonderful why to dirty your hand in the blood. Well, today is every day, every time, IT brings some romanticism in their language, in their terminology, in their understanding, which used to be more in the health sector. It came from the cyber, blockchain, deep machine learning, etc. And now the word which has come very recently, and that is what I would emphasize one thing, that please, I'm old-timer, that we must understand the basic, what it is. Everybody talks about invention, innovations, and this is what we have written in our books. Sachin has also given one chapter in that book, published in US. And I believe in one thing, that such a simple thing like innovation and invention. I was talking in one of the IITs where most of the people were incubators. And ultimately they did not know the difference. So we must know grassroots, and we need a lot of learning. ChatGPT in a healthcare, when I talk to people, they also did not know that GPT is a generative pre-training transformer. And that is what is now today's topic. and which the experts will be talking. And I've already requested them, more time must be given, not only for deliberation, but question and answer. It is an artificial intelligence tool, came up in November 2022, and GPT-4 is the latest one. And ultimately, it creates lots of things. You can write, you can create an article, essay, etc. Now, academicians have been threatened. I was reading one article where every day somebody is bringing an article, and then they really saw that is it being taken care of by ChatGPT. Ultimately, there's a young, I was given this link by one of the person from the US. She is also attending, I believe, today. The Edward 22-year-old brought an app. He's a computer student in Princeton University in US, who said that is called GPT-0, that it can find out, like many other software, that you have done plagiarism or not. It can find out if this article has been brought by the ChatGPT. So GPT-0 is the app which has been brought out. And ultimately, what we really thought of, that why this particular topic? Because all the newer terminologies, talk, discussion has been now included in our magazine, which goes to 96,000 people as a buzzword. So this issue is bringing again ChatGPT. Next time some blockchain would come, etc., and is being taken care of. And all of you are advised or requested to write their experience. ChatGPT is the one which has really shaken the world of academicians, and they are having that, is this ethical issues, legal issues, and so on and so forth. We have a knowledge platform where all of you is requested to contribute, join. We will be having conference with it, most probably in IIIT, is in Delhi. And October, we have a club meeting like this. We bring out Pulse, we bring magazine, which that magazine comes to the people of 97,000 odd people. Sachin has been doing training on artificial intelligence and also cyber. He's a cyber person. So to cut my story short, that no end of learning, all of us can contribute. And if 22-year-old Edward can contribute, I'm sure in one way or other, all of us can contribute to the extent and take the human angle. Now people are talking in the medicine, human medicine, family medicine, and use minimum drugs rather than use your other yoga, etc. for healing process, and let nature take care of. I'm sure ChatGPT also will be one of the tools which might improve or wither away in years to come. Thank you very much. And I'll be myself on a listening until end. And I would thank the speakers and the people to attend today's session. Do participate and do bring your this. It is all being recorded, and we will see that this recording is available to everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Singh, for your insights about ChatGPT. So as Dr. Singh has told us that we are supposed to keep this session interactive one. So please feel free to put any questions on the chat. So now I would like to invite Sachin Gaur. Sachin Gaur is an accomplished entrepreneur and researcher in the health tech field. He is currently Director Operations of InnovatioCuris. With a passion for innovation and technology, he has successfully launched multiple ventures in health tech industry. Today, Sachin will be sharing his insights and expertise on the use of ChatGPT-like tools in healthcare. Sachin will also be demonstrating how these tools work and providing a short presentation on their use in healthcare. So without further ado, I would like to invite Sachin to share his presentation and demo on the role of ChatGPT-like tools in healthcare. Sachin, over to you.
Thank you, Varsha. And it's a honor and privilege for me to speak after Dr. Singh. There's always something new to learn from Dr. Singh. And especially today, he has been wearing a t-shirt symbolizing that he has joined the IT side of things. So thank you, sir, for giving and sharing your introduction. And I have made a short presentation to cover the topic. And I believe after I'm done with my part, we'll be joined with Dr. Amit Raj, who is a physician, and then probably he could complement what I'm sharing today. So very quickly, of course, ChatGPT is a technology which can be used for any particular domain. But since in the InnovatioCuris context, we are all looking at healthcare, so we will slightly go in detail about healthcare aspects in context of ChatGPT. So what is ChatGPT? It's a conversational AI model. It uses GPT language processing algorithm that Dr. Singh mentioned. And the state of the art algorithm right now is GPT-4. But the company OpenAI started in 2018 with GPT-1, and subsequently they improved the size of the algorithm in terms of the training data. And what we have today, GPT-4, is quite state of the art model. And ChatGPT is using limited capabilities of GPT-4. As the word chat suggests, it has only an interface of chatting. Whereas GPT-4 is a multi-modal model. What it means is that it can take image, it can take text, it can take video. Whereas ChatGPT can only take text. So how does ChatGPT work? ChatGPT analyzes your natural language input, meaning as I would be talking to any one of you, we could use the same English language or whichever language that you are comfortable with in instructing ChatGPT with your task. And the instruction that you give in the lingo or the jargon, it is called prompt. And then it generates the response based on its training data. And there is also a bit of context in the conversation, meaning if you have asked one question, so on Google search doesn't remember if you're doing one search after another. But in case of ChatGPT, it's a conversation. So if you have asked one question, you can ask subsequent questions, and it has a memory that it remembers the context. So it makes it pretty much like a conversation that you would have with a fellow human being. And it also turns out that it's so versatile that including a lot of medical jargon is something that is possible to discuss. So what are the use cases for ChatGPT in healthcare? Of course, patient education is number one. But then based on the training data, it may be also be useful in triaging and diagnosis. And, it may be used at times for mental health kind of scenarios. And what are the advantages? Here you can see, I'm not going to read it out, but mind you, these 5 slides that I just shared with you, they were not prepared by me. Since this was a session about using ChatGPT, so today morning when I woke up, I thought I have to make these slides not myself. I have to ask the AI to make it. So these first 5 slides were made using a plugin that I installed in my Google Slides, and I was searching for it and I found this company, and this guy somewhere in UP who lives in Bangalore now has made this plugin. And I just wrote one line that make a chat GPT introduction slides, and it gave me these 5 slides. So this was more like a gimmick. This was not something I wanted to talk about, but I just wanted to show, if we are talking about a presentation of on ChatGPT, if we don't use ChatGPT, then it's not fun. So let's begin with the actual presentation now. So what powers ChatGPT? As Dr. Singh, gave you the abbreviation. Let's go a bit, deeper here. So there is a word transformer in the abbreviation that Dr. Singh used. And if you see on the right-hand side here, there is, a person here, Ashish Vaswani, and with him is Nikki. So Ashish basically came up with an architecture when he was part of the Google Brain team. And it is that architecture that he created for neural network is called the transformer architecture. He wrote a paper in 2017, and that paper is called Attention is All You Need. And if you see, I have put a snapshot of that paper on from Google search. That paper has been cited in last 6 years 72,000 times. So many a times, a researcher may not have that many citations in their lifetime. What Ashish has got for just one paper in last 6 years. This contribution of Ashish is so fundamental that people in the AI field believe if there is one thing that they have to point out is the biggest contribution in the field of AI, then they say it's the transformer architecture. So what does it mean that this architecture? So this architecture had some properties which allowed it to train very fast because it allowed parallel training. And after this architecture was invented by the Google Brain team, a lot of people started using, language data to train neural networks and see what these language models could do. So there is a chart here that you can see. So starting from 2019 onwards, coming till 2013, you could see that this diagram is flooded with all kind of names. Of course, today we are only talking about ChatGPT and GPT-4, if you see here on the lower end of the graph. But then I just got access to Llama recently. So Llama is an open source model that Facebook has built. So if I want today, I can build my own ChatGPT style application using Llama, for example. So what has happened in the last couple of years, let's say last 5 years, is that people have taken data. And when I say the data, it means that whatever has been collected from the internet, and they have trained these transformer architecture models. And these trainings have cost them hundreds of millions, at times. We don't exactly know in some cases the details. So it could be that they spend millions of dollars on the hardware training them, or it could be tens of millions that have been spent. But the result is that the larger the model, when we say larger the model means that how many parameters it has or tokens it has, and which are already going towards, a trillion parameters. So which is now becoming comparable to human brain. So earlier models were built that they could predict the next word in the sequence. So many of you would have used Gmail. You would have seen that when you're typing your email, Google tries to predict what is the next word that you're writing or next phrase that you're writing. That was the initial aspect of these large language models. They are called large language models because they have been fed a lot of language text from the internet, and they were basically trying to predict the next word. But because of the size of these large language models, today they have attained a lot of capabilities that we as humans or as a society have collectively put our wisdom together on the internet. So they have actually distilled that wisdom. So while we see that this is the kind of architecture that is emerging for last 5-6 years, I can already tell you where are we going from here. So what we have today on with these large companies like whether Facebook, Google, or OpenAI, or other companies building these large models, we can call them as foundational models, meaning they understand each and everything that is out there on the internet in a crude form, what we call as a large language model. And current state of the art model by OpenAI, which is leading this race, is called GPT-4. Then they build a middle layer on top of this model, which is basically, you will hear a lot, something called as RLHF. So RLHF means reinforcement learning human feedback. So before OpenAI released ChatGPT to public, they hired, some companies in Asia or elsewhere, wherever it was cheap, to ask questions to ChatGPT. And if it was giving some kind of aggressive response, some unethical response, they tried to use reinforcement learning so that it doesn't give that response when it is publicly used. It doesn't mean that ChatGPT is 100% safe to use even today, but after a lot of aggressive testing, the company has covered, a lot of obvious cases that if you will ask ChatGPT how to make a bomb, it should not tell you the answer for that kind of a question. Or if you are having another negative kind of query which is not good for society, then it should not answer. So this is the middle layer, where companies are going to create a lot of value. The topmost layer that I'm talking about, the foundation model, is not where people like us are going to create value. This is where big companies will train big models. They may put in open source, they may put closed. We may get access to these models, whether we host them or we use an API. But it's the middle layer where most of us will make contribution. And we will try to put our domain knowledge, we'll try to put our rules, we'll try to put some reinforcement learning. And then we build the last layer, which is the user interface. So in case of ChatGPT, it's, as I said, it's only the chat that you interact with GPT-4. So maybe OpenAI will build a GPT-5 model, although they are saying that they will not going to train because there's a controversy going on where some people like Elon Musk, next tech Mark, are asking to stop AI development for next 6 months. So we don't know where that is going. But for now, it is very clear that the development in the ChatGPT space will go more on the vertical side, meaning the medical people may build their own specialized version of a foundational model that may be useful for a variety of reasons, and we will talk about it later. So you may ask, how does GPT-4 look like? So this lady here on Twitter, she asked GPT-4, how do you look like? And this was the response that is highlighted in this paragraph, was the response of GPT-4, that how does it look like? Imagine a sleek metallic sphere with a smooth surface representing the vast knowledge contained within the model. The sphere emits a soft pulsating glow that shifts between various colors. So she used this description that GPT-4 gave about itself, and then she fed it into another model to create a video. So if you go and search for this on internet, you should be able to find a music video, which is an attempt of this lady to show how this model thinks that how it looks. It's quite fascinating. It's also a bit abstract here, what I'm showing, but I'm just trying to make you aware that what are the kind of things people are trying to do with GPT-4. So let's quickly jump into what ChatGPT like models mean for healthcare. So the field is moving so fast. I'm only talking about April, and we are in the month of April still. The 12th of April, a bunch of people, led by Eric Topol and Pranav Rajpurkar. Pranav is a professor in Harvard. So they imagined that the foundation models that we have now, like GPT-4, if we were to build a medical artificial intelligence model, which we can call in short form as GMAI, what it can do and how it will change healthcare. So you could see in my slides here, when they published this article, I think it's not even 2 weeks or so now, but it's already accessed by 66,000 times. So that's the popularity or the imagination, of this imagination among the healthcare people. So if you have not seen this paper, please go and have a look. So what I did, I asked ChatGPT to summarize this article for me, right? So I think it's around 10, 11 pages. I don't want to bore you with 10, 11 pages. So I asked ChatGPT to summarize it. So pretty much what I told you in the last few slides, that's covered in point 1, 2, 3, that who invented this and where ChatGPT 4 is going. And what is interesting that what Pranav et al. Imagine what a journal medical AI model could do is written here in point 567. Just to make you better understand that, let me show you an image that they show in the article. So they say that a generalist medical AI model will not be trained just on text. So it will be trained on text, but also audio, images, EHR signals, all kind of omics data, combined with the literatures, publication, and clinical notes. Then what could you do? So you could do a variety of things with it. You could ask it to take notes. You could use it for when you're doing surgery. You could use it for chatbots and things like that. Just to illustrate that, they have shown this further in their article. So if you see here in this scenario, there is a nurse and the system is telling the nurse that insulin is required to the patient. And the nurse is asking why. So the nurse can reason with the system, and the system is saying to correct hyperkalemia. In the second example, uh, if the health worker is mentioning a description, it is augmenting the, the, the radiology report with that specific observation. In the third example, somebody is doing something like, sending a camera inside the body, and then they encounter some object. So it is possible, then you can ask the health worker can ask the AI, what is that I'm seeing? And then in that case, the AI is explaining the human that what is that they're seeing. In some cases, we already have these kind of AI models which are trained, let's say in colonoscopy or other examples, where we can know, okay, this is a polyp and this is malignant or non-malignant, things like that. But what is the difference between the current AI and what they imagine is that today, if you know some of the successful companies in India like Cure or what Vidhu Mahajan is doing with Carpal and other companies, that they're training one AI model for one particular disease, which means that we will have to build millions of AIs for millions of conditions in the health sector. What changes with these new kind of foundational models is that you don't have to build millions of AI products. It's one model, and you're using that one single model from colonoscopy to radiology to bedside decision making. So that is where the whole paradigm of AI is changing in healthcare. And of course, with this paper, they only imagine. But mind you, it's moving so fast that this paper came on 12th of April. Yesterday, a paper came, and this was published in JAMA. And in this journal, what they did, they basically compared the physician responses with ChatGPT responses for actual patients, and they measured the patient communications effectiveness. And again, I asked ChatGPT to summarize this publication. So you could read it out that it was organized on 195 patients. And then they found that ChatGPT responses were preferred 79% of the time for quality and had a nearly 10 times higher empathy rating. Meaning a busy doctor today may not be as empathetic to a patient versus if they were using some kind of a chatbot which is built on an advanced model like GPT-4. So if you see in the article that is published in the journal yesterday, they show on the lower axis, you see they are grading the responses from very poor, poor, acceptable, good, and very good, and they are rating them on quality. And you could clearly see that the the chatbot responses are graded better by human experts. So both the answers by physicians and chatbot were graded by human experts, and they found the quality of responses from chatbots were better than human doctors. Then they also graded them on empathy. And again, you can see that the chatbot responses are much more empathetic than a physician's answer. So it is already in the last 2 weeks, uh, although ChatGPT tool has been there for some time, GPT-4 model is very new, but already you can see when people are organizing this kind of research, interesting results are coming out. So what does that mean for healthcare? Of course, we will learn from Dr. Amit. He may give his opinions on this. But in my perspective, it reminds me of the book of Eric Topol. Eric Topol wrote a book some time back, which was called Deep Medicine. And the book had a premise that, the real job of AI would be to free up doctors' time so that the doctor can really care about the patient and can spend time where it matters. So maybe we are getting there in this case. But let me also compliment this presentation with my own personal journey that I have been using for last 6 months. So we started using ChatGPT 3 model, when we had the InnoHealth conference last year. So you could see in the photo here, I was moderator for this session with Dr. Harsh Mahajan, Dr. Tapasesh, and Dr. Vibha Jain and others, where I tried to ask same questions that I was asking my co-panelists with GPT-3. So that was my crude attempt to include, in our conference, a bot like ChatGPT. But the world moved on. I also realized that I need to stay on top of the game. So I bought a subscription. The subscription is $15 a month. And the reason I bought the subscription was that it gives me access to the latest model. If I don't buy the subscription, I don't have the GPT-4 access. And I wanted to see how GPT-4 will help me. And on a regular day, or a regular week rather, I have to produce, 50 to 100 pages report for, my customers like European Union. And it's, very painstaking work for me to, writing or editing these reports. And I have found one thing that ChatGPT can help me is that if I have the report, if I have the text and I want a quick summary for me, it can generate that summary for me in minutes. Then of course I can edit it. And then if sometimes, people will ask me to write proposals, if I know the flow of the proposals, if I have the headings in mind and general ideas, I can populate the content very fast and I can correct the proposal. So if Dr. Singh would ask me to write a proposal, maybe earlier it was taking me 2 days. Now it is taking me half an hour. Then if I recently was also requested by someone who is the president of the Emergency Management Society that they want to know what could a foundational model of AI do for disaster management. So even to prepare that paper, I used ChatGPT. Then I realized that maybe this benefit that I am getting should be, extended to my colleagues. So I organized a training within our office, and the idea was that, my colleagues could also use these tools. And as we are speaking, my colleagues have already been using these tools to do software development. So they can, ask ChatGPT to write or suggest, code for them. And then they are able to use that code to do the task of a week. They can do it in, a day. We have been using ChatGPT to write articles, to, as I said, for report editing and writing, for proposal writing. Some of my colleagues are using other models like DALI to make images, so we need many images for our articles and things like that for reports. So we have been doing that. So this is my limited experience, on how I have been using it for the last 6 months. Of course, you could share in chat how you have been using, and maybe I could also show you a demo of if you are interested in me doing something right now in this session. But I think Where it is going, I see now that almost all big countries, including India, or all big companies, will sooner or later have their own personal version of a chat GPT like model, which will be fine tuned for their company, their task. And this will help them maintain privacy and security of their data. So you must have noticed, for example, Italy banned chat GPT because they don't want Italian data to go to an American company. And in some cases, businesses also do not want to depend on a third party for their business critical processes. But it will also help the companies and organizations. Let's say Apollo builds its own chat GPT. It will help Apollo, bring in their experience together and not share this with, OpenAI. And maybe this is their intellectual property. So I'm 100% sure 1 year down the line, almost all the large organizations in health sector will adopt a model like this for their own specific task, whether it is to read radiology reports to whatever it may be. But I am 100% sure that models like GPT-4 would be, open source models would be taken up by organizations to follow safety, ethical aspects, laws of the land and things like that. So I can stop here and maybe we can make the session interactive by showing you a demo of what we can do with ChatGPT. So Varsha, if you can help me with the questions in the chat, I can try if anybody has any specific request, what they would like to see if they have not used ChatGPT before. I'm more than happy to run some examples for them. So this is what the interface looks like. I just opened it. So it's a URL chat.openai.com. I can choose the model here. Since I have the subscription, I can choose GPT-4, for example. So do you have a query for me, Varsha?
Yes, Sachin. So there is one question from Dr. Singh, that can we create scientific PPT for medical training through ChatGPT?
Yeah, definitely. As I said, ChatGPT is only a text-based tool. So if you're looking to create a PPT directly, you could do something like what I did in the morning. So I installed, so let me just go. So I went to my Google Drive, and is this visible, Varsha?
Yeah, it's visible.
So if you see, I have this, slide creation facility within the Google Workspace, and I installed a GPT for slides tool. So it is asking me, enter your topic and info. So let's say I want to talk about total knee replacement. So I don't know how it is going to be. I've never tried this. Right? Demonstrate the process of knee replacement with an implant, showing an implant. So this is a tool made by someone. You can see I can put that make total number of slides 5, and I have some credits here. It's maybe I will have to pay if I run out of credits. Now I hit the button generate. It will take 2 minutes roughly to generate this. So this is one example where you can directly generate slides. Okay, but if I were to do the same thing on ChatGPT, this is how it will look like. So I would say, give me 10 slides on the process of doing an implant for knee replacement. The target audience for the slides is MD Ortho students in a medical college, let's say in India. Now, when I hit this, so you see it has started making slides. So I don't know if Dr. M.M. Madhav, if you are witnessing this, maybe it makes sense, maybe it doesn't make sense. But what I can do is I can ask follow-on questions on this. So I can say, give details of anesthesia on slide 5. So it can start expanding. So we can make this interactive. So if you want me to do any further probing on this particular question, let me know and I can do it. So if you want the mic access, my colleagues should be able to give you the mic access. So feel free to, so let me just show you. So in the meantime, this tool that I was using in my Google Slides has tried to make some slides. Maybe it is bullshit, but it is downloading relevant images from a third-party website and it is putting some content here. So again, this is subject to the quality of instruction I had put in. So maybe my instructions were not of very high quality, but it did make something. And as I showed you in my presentation itself, I was using the first 5 slides I presented today were made using this tool. But let me come back to ChatGPT. Now you see, so it has given me the flow of these 10 slides that I asked. So is this something interesting? Should I ask a follow-up question? If I should ask a follow-up question, then what it should be? Okay, so I will start reading out other things. So Dr. Uma is asking, will ChatGPT reduce the competitive intellectual pursuits by human beings and reduce us to mediocrity? So my short response to this is that I think it's like any other tool. So I don't know if cars have, made us less of runners. Of course, maybe broader picture, but people who want to run, they still run. And I think any tool doesn't work on its own. So I will still say, Dr. Uma, that only 2 out of 10 people will use these tools to their benefit, and 8 people may still be working in the old ways. So that's my admission or submission to you. Then Professor Venkat is asking, can a patient upload his or her MRI or CT scan and get ChatGPT report and validate that of doctor's report? I'm 100% sure, sir, this can happen. So right now, people like me or you do not have the GPT-4 access. We only have the access to ChatGPT, and this chat interface doesn't allow uploading of any images. But if I had access to GPT-4, so let's say somebody in our circles like Vidur Mahajan or anybody else, I'm sure that they could get access to GPT-4. They could actually throw in a report, and of course, then we need to cross-validate or clinically validate whether GPT-4's ability to read an MRI or CT scans are there or not. So I don't think anybody has clinically validated that, but maybe those things we will come to know as people do these experiments. So short answer is not now, because ChatGPT doesn't allow uploading of images, but in future, when people build their own applications, medical applications on GPT-4, it may be possible. So Pratiksha is suggesting that she has used ChatGPT for paraphrasing, which is very correct. So let me just demonstrate this example. So redo these slides as they were to be done for class 5 students. So I'm asking this tool. Previously, I asked them to make these slides for ortho MD students. I'm asking them, can you make this for class 5 students? So ideally, it should not use less Jingo. So in this example, okay, with less jargon. And this is one example of paraphrasing where I have asked it to reduce the level of the competence of the reader. As you may know that sometimes we are too technical, our readership is reduced. So we can ask ChatGPT to feed an article and we can say, can you rewrite this article for a kindergarten? Or if I were to explain to a kindergarten person, things like that. Now, Professor Venkat is asking me to write a bio about him using GPT-4. Let's try that. Write a bio for Professor Venkat from IIM Lucknow for InnoHealth conference in 100 words. So, Professor Venkat, does it convince you? Is this bio usable? Yes, no, maybe. Thank you, sir. So I also have a question from Partha sir, and he's asking, how can we integrate ChatGPT with any business website or only our organization related queries? So if I've understood the question right, then what Partha sir is imagining, let's say a business website which has a possibility that somebody could ask question and it get responses. So I have seen this, Partha sir, that many startups already in my known circle, they are using APIs from OpenAI, where you don't have ChatGPT APIs, but it's a GPT-4 APIs, and it's a multi-model model. So meaning you can also give images. So you can ask a question like, you can give an image and you can say, what are the objects in this image, and it can tell you what are those objects. So it is possible to build such tools in a very, very rapid manner. The only thing we need is the access to the APIs. And it's also possible to build a middle layer, as I explained earlier in my presentation, that if you want, you could also filter some kind of queries. Maybe you don't want them to be answered, or you could, use your proprietary database when you are making those queries. I don't know if I answered the question. So if there are no further questions, then I can give the floor back to Varsha. Varsha, am I missing any questions?
Yeah, actually, Dr. Singh, Dr. MM Singh have raised his hand. So if there is any question from him, then we can take it up or we can continue with the session.
Very good lecture, sir, and very good insight. Just I wanted to know what is the chances of error or percentage of error we can expect the content generated by ChatGPT. Is any possibility?
Yes, sir, definitely. There is a lot of times I have experienced error. So it is good for general purposes, but when you're looking for specific purposes, you first of all, you yourself need to know the topic. And if you know the topic well, then you can judge the response given by such a tool. And I have found that many times it happens that on the first attempt, it doesn't give you the response that you desire. So you'll have to change your line of question. And this is what people are calling these days as prompt engineering. So meaning how to ask the question is the 21st century skill that everybody is talking about. So while these AI models are very powerful, but how to get the right response from them Actually, the onus lies on the person asking the question. What is the question that they are asking, and do they have the ability to ask the question? And which means that sometimes you get the answer that you desire once you have modified your question 10 times. Does it make sense? Have I answered your question?
Sir, like the topic is chat GPT in healthcare. So as a doctor, what I feel, sir, we are stuck up in some places where we come at the final conclusion out of two medicine, which we should give it to the patient. So at that time, if the chat GPT can help a doctor, it will be a better, because by searching all the content across the globe on net, so in that also the error is possibility, because doctor when asked, he's an expert in subject, but making a fixed decision, he wants a help. So do you feel in future those type of responses chat GPT will create?
Yeah, so I'm 100% sure, Dr. Madhav, that we will have a tool that will come out in market. It may not be chat GPT directly, but it may be done by some medical people where they try to organize, access to all kind of journals and publications, which basically will then refer to the cutting edge research when suggesting based on symptoms or the reports that you may put in a line of treatment. And again, the onus would lie on the healthcare expert whether they agree or disagree with the recommendation made by ChatGPT. But I can see already Dr. Amit has raised his hand, and he is more qualified to answer this question than me. So, Dr. Amit, please.
That's a very interesting point. Hi, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you, Sachin. Thank you, Singh sir, for this wonderful session on Chat GPT. It's been really inspiring and learning insights. Well, I'll just quickly come to the question which someone had raised about which medicine for which is the best of the two medicines. Well, there was a research at the US in the Cleveland Clinic with Stanford, where something very similar had come in, on which for medicines for blood pressure needs to be chosen for certain conditions. Conditions which the patient was going on. Well, there the Chat GPT had some limitations to kind of identify which medicine, but like what Sachin said, that no sooner or later there'll be some tools, some medical kind of algorithms which will decide which medicine is better, but way too long to go on this. But I'm sure there'll be some solution to it as well. So I hope this study was done in Cleveland with Stanford, which clearly indicated that ChatGPT has some limitations in selecting which medicine is best for which patient based on the side effects and the clinical presentation in which the patient has come to the hospital.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Amit, for the answer. And I'm just trying to add to this. I think we don't have normally the omics data for a patient, but if we have the the genomics data, I'm sure with a lot of biomarkers, it should be possible to know basically what they call as personalized medicine. I think there would be also this angle that an AI would be able to analyze the genome and choose a medicine which is less harmful for the patient in terms of the side effect because of their genetic profile. In some of the countries where biobank data is available, they can do these kind of analysis, but I don't think often a doctor has that kind of time that they would be able to look at the genome data themselves. So I think there would be a role for an AI tool that when a doctor is asking and if the genome data is available, then a consultation could also be made for personalized medicine in that regard. But maybe we can move over now. Varsha, over to you for the next part.
Thank you, Sachin, for sharing your expertise with us. The presentation was really truly inspiring and informative. Now, moving on with the session, I would like to invite Dr. Amit Raj. Dr. Amit Raj is a cardiologist, healthcare administrator, and entrepreneur who has made significant contributions to the healthcare industry. He is currently the managing director at Plexus Cardiac Care, where he is driving innovation to deliver value-based cardiac care delivery. So, Dr. Raj work focuses on primarily cardiac care to interventional cardiac care using innovative disruptive tools like IoT and artificial intelligence. Today, he will be sharing his perspective on GPT like tools from a clinical perspective and discussing how these tools can change hospital and clinical settings in the future. So, without any delay, I'm thrilled to welcome Dr. Amit Raj to provide us with his expertise on the use of ChatGPT like tools. To start with the session with him, we'll be starting with some questions that would help us to understand the ChatGPT role in healthcare industry. So, can we start with the questions and answer session,
Yeah,
Dr.
please.
Okay, so we are curious to know that how can ChatGPT be integrated into existing healthcare system and workflows, and how it is helpful to improve the patient outcomes and quality of care?
Well, that's a very, you know, an amazing question which you've asked. I'll just give you a small insight to what we've been doing in cardiology in the earlier phase of using an AI application tool, and now Chat GPT has come in. So I'm expecting huge, amazing results from this Chat GPT. I'll just go back to the primitive way where we were using a virtual assistant tool. Well, like what Dr. Singh had mentioned earlier in his introductory speech was now all these is AI, medtech. So these gadgets, softwares, these tools are going to be just only being an assistant to the medical practitioners and surgeons. Well, this has evolved now. Rather, these assistants has become more of aggregated intelligence from human intelligence, and now this has become by default artificial intelligence. So yes, definitely, these virtual health assistants will with these digital tools, and they will provide more of health information and be more patient centric support to the patients. This has been a journey for me. I mean, in my hospital setup on a use case study, if I like to brief you all, with the volume of patients with a single cardiologist has to see the patients, cons- consult them, look into their parameters, advise accordingly their medications, provide kind of empathic support as well, provide more time for their in-house clinical critical care patients, and do procedures in the cath lab as well. So here is a problem. So how can a doctor spend so much of time doing all these work together? So, for example, I'm seeing 50 patients in a day. I'm intervening 10 patients in the cath lab, and I have 20 patients in the ICU. For me to come to the hospital in the morning 9 and go back in the, with all these, tasks, going back home by 8, I'm exhausted. So I need is an assistant. So earlier conventional hospitals were having physician assistants, a surgeon assistants who used to do the same supportive job. But with these tech development innovations coming in, there are tools which is helping a clinician to kind of help him in addressing the same task at a shorter time and delivering more quality work. Singh sir and Sachin did mention that now these tools will kind of make the clinician more spending more time, being more empathic, more being more focused towards their patient relationship which they build on. Because earlier, now with more of documentation, more of evidence based approach which is going on. So now these tools will help the physicians and the clinicians to overcome this, and the results are phenomenal. So what we did is in our hospital setup, we kind of, I had done a a collaboration with a tech company in Bangalore, where we developed a set of preset questions before the patient could really come in and see the cardiologist. So, there was a set of, we had defined those questions so that, patient will be engaged before the cardiologist or the physician sees them. A junior doctor will engage them with these set of questions. So, amazing result. 20-25 patients with about 20-25 questions. By the time the patient would come to see a cardiologist, the physician or the cardiologist will have 1 or 2, 3, 4 differential diagnoses already been made by these application and these tools. I mean, this study, it's going on in my hospital. I'm still yet to compile these results, but I'm just informing you all this. My job as a doctor has come down to 3 or 4 differentials, asking the same question and then again and again. Well, the patient is engaged in a tab or a computer-based questionnaire form where he fills in, and the questions will further ask the patient, will drive the patient like a Viva question in which form the physicians are asking the same questions to the doctor. So coming back, so it is on a simple nutshell, this is a virtual health assistant to a physician or a surgeon. So while seeing a patient, and ChatGPT, I'm sure in various use case studies and research in California and in US, where this ChatGPT is performing better than expected results in basic cardiology questions before the patient really comes into the cardiologist to take his further opinion. So like how we started this about 4 years back with a small AI based company in Bangalore, and now with I'm expecting ChatGPT to to help me further once we go in and implement this in our institute. Those results earlier was alarming and was very helpful for us. I see a patient, I get 3 differential diagnoses in front of me. The machine would have given me a differential diagnosis. Well, Singh sir did mention that there is a threat to human intelligence. I'm sure there will be a time when this machine intelligence will overcome the medical intelligence, maybe human intelligence rather, maybe not now, maybe about 100 years from now, like how we dreamt, how we like a Star Wars movies, in Star Trek movies, there are a medical device which diagnoses a problem, and there's another device which treats the problem. I mean, I'm sure those days are coming. So but again, with certain limitations at this moment, at the basic primary level, yes, ChatGPT is a phenomenal tool which is doing decent enough for basic medical queries, questions. So with questions either asking in an oral form or a written form or in any pictorial form, I'm sure there are far more studies yet to be done, and people are doing it across. But for me, with the simple AI-based tools on simple pre-screening of a patient, coming to me before I see the patient has given me some relief and help for me to at least arrive at a differential before I could really, jump into my, final diagnosis with evidence-based, supports, where I can treat more volume of a patient in a shorter time. So with the simple, use case yet to overcome more studies tomorrow, I'm sure this will be a game changer for us as a virtual assistant to us. I hope I've answered basics about this. But there's a study in in California with Stanford where Dr. Ashish, who's a good friend of mine, had done this study on simple cardiology questions for pre-screening of cardiac patients, and this ChatGPT results were almost I'll tell you better than expected results were shown. But again, there are limitations to it as well. So there's some innovations going on, and still miles to go before this can change in the way we look at this innovation really helping a physical hospital or a virtual hospital.
Okay, Dr. Amit, your suggestion, the use case that is presented by you, that how using AI or tools you are reducing the burden on doctors, and how it is effective in increasing the time given to the patient. This is really helpful for us. So now coming forward, I would like to ask that how like how healthcare providers and researchers can collaborate to maximize the potential benefits of ChatGPT with respect to cardiac care only.
Well, like how Sachin had mentioned that there are various algorithms, millions of algorithms needs to be developed for for each specific domain, or a organization, or a healthcare, for example, a surgeon, a cardiac, or a medicine, or a diabetes. It will definitely help. Right now, these tools are the frontiers in for academics, and for research, and for like how Sachin had mentioned in his presentation, that this is a tool for other domains, but this is helping a lot in for academicians and for research as well. So way future, yes, there are a lot of developments happening. So we need to just wait and watch. This will help the physicians as well. Well, I'll just give you a foresight of what this can really look at. We create a virtual hospital. There's a doctor like me. I'm seeing a patient. What about 100 patients waiting for me? So same algorithms, an avatar of mine asks the same questions in a more humane, more empathic, more tech developed, approach. And then finally, when the patient comes and sees me, he gets to see the same Dr. Amit. So I'm sure I dream this as a a reality happening and working towards it. But no sooner or later, this will be a reality in physical form. I'm sure on April there was an article published like what Sachin had mentioned. I'm sure someone in the medical field would come out with certain studies published no sooner or later. We need to just wait and watch. So this will be a game changer for clinicians, and AI has been helping us as well. So ChatGPT will enhance with kind of accelerate with the with the tech innovations happening with medical integration into it, will definitely be a game changer. Yes, there are a lot of limitations to it as well. There are a lot of risk, a lot of ethical issues which are behind this. I think Sachin did mention few points in this as well.
Yes, Dr. Amit. So, as you have mentioned that there are potential risks associated with ChatGPT. So, from a practitioner point of view, what do you think that what are the risks that are associated, particularly in relation to patient care with ChatGPT? What are the limitations? What are the ethical considerations that are associated with it?
Well, the basic ones. It can be on simple decision making. There can be issues, ethical concerns on accountability, transparency. Who's going to be the owner of these? The authorship. The kind of how information is biased or non-biased. How ethical? What are the governance to it? Again, these are the certain concerns which can arise when we are going to use this. Like one of the clinicians had mentioned that how we can differentiate two medicine which is best for a particular disease, and Professor Venkat that mentioned that and like an MRI giving you a differentials of just showing an MRI scan, what is the probable diagnosis? Well, these will be again based on the medical intelligence, that is human intelligence versus the machine intelligence. So we still the accountability, the ownership, the transparency. There should be certain benchmark standards on certain diagnosis based information. These are the basic ethical issues which we can comprehend, and this will definitely be overcome as we progress in further development of this ChatGPT. Well, this is phenomenally used where if I want to pull out certain research, rather I read out the entire book, I can just use this and get few crux of a point research matter in just matter of seconds. So this can help me in education as well. How Sachin mentioned that an endoscope is inside a body and it is asking a question like what is this lesion is about. Well, again, there can be differentials, there can be one or two other diagnoses, but this will further help the clinicians to overcome this. But again, how how this information which the ChatGPT gives is whether it is governed under certain rules, certain regulations, who's going to take accountability, transparency, all these issues are to be, looked into as well.
Fair enough, Dr. Amit. Thank you so much for answering our questions. Your insights in how ChatGPT is useful in improving patient care and facilitate better communication is helpful for us, and it is truly enlightening. Thank you so much for your inputs in this webinar. So,
Thanks.
Sachin, so now I would like to have one or two questions with you.
Sure, I'm happy to answer, Varsha. And I'm also happy if there are any questions from anyone else, please feel free to, type them, or if you need the mic access, feel free to raise your hand and my colleague can give it to you. So over to you, Varsha.
Okay, so I'm curious to know about from you that why should we pay attention to these tools? Like why there is an anxiety that is linked with AI in many countries. As recently we have came across that Italy has already banned ChatGPT. So what might be the reasons and why they are doing so? Please enlighten us on this.
Yeah, I think we are in the moment of history or the human existence where all the knowledge that we were able to digitize is available to us. I mean, not just through books and internet searches, but through a powerful AI model. And this ability today is in the hands of few. So who are these few? These are powerful companies like Google, Facebook, OpenAI, and people like us who are knowledge workers who thrive, because of the knowledge. We are at the short end of the stick. And if we look at it as a collective, as a democracy, then many governments may think, okay, is this an arms race? Is this something that America would, go far, far ahead? And if, let's say, American companies or, American citizens, for example, would have a better access than somebody in Africa or in Asia. So we know that the distribution or access to these tools is not democratic. So I think that is the first political worry, that when, let's say, the Italian politicians or Italian government, for example, they reacted sharply by banning ChatGPT because they don't want to feed their data of the Italian citizens into one single company. And these are valid concerns. And there is an act which has come out from the European Parliament in the last few days, which would restrict, certain developments on generative AI in Europe. We don't have any such move planned as of today from Indian government, but sooner or later it will become a question of technical sovereignty. I mean, the way India has its own army to protect itself on physical borders, we may have to think about, what is it our citizens, are using? Is that, adding up in the long term? And the same may apply to organizations that if Tata Motors want to use a tool which can help their engineers design a better car, would they want to tell this conversation to an American company? Or would Tata Motors want their own model, which they have taken from the open source and hosted for themselves, so that when they are talking about designing better cars, that topic is not knowingly or unknowingly known to their competitors elsewhere. So that is why this is the moment where we are actually witnessing that the whole knowledge of humanity, as Yuval Noah Harari talks about in his book, in books like Sapiens, that why humans as a species is so successful, because we are able to capture our knowledge outside our DNA, which is in the form of culture. And we are first time having that moment where this entire knowledge is distilled into an AI model. And having access to this much power, this much knowledge can be abused if it is in the wrong hands, and also can be a privilege only for few. So as a democracy, as a future what to say, future facing organization, many people already must be wondering how are they going to integrate these tools into their businesses, as Partha sir has asked this question himself. So I think if I answered this question, Varsha, at this point.
Yes, Sachin, it is answered very well. So I'm having another question for you. Like, how do you think these tools are impacting already and will change the day-to-day work of healthcare professionals?
So although I'm not a healthcare professional myself, but since I work in the health sector and I gave you examples around my life as a knowledge worker, from article writing to report writing to proposal writing, I am able to bring efficiency of 5 to 10 times. And I know similarly people who are in the healthcare IT sector, who are writing softwares as a day job for some hospital, they would have a similar, what do you say, productivity gains in their day-to-day job. Similarly, if a hospital decides today, let's say an Apollo or a Max or any other hospital decides today that they would build their own version of ChatGPT across their hospitals, maybe the patients who are coming there, instead of asking random questions to Google, they could use the model that Apollo is giving, maybe free of charge, in order to, bring those patients to their hospitals. Or maybe they will give this as a paid advice, but it is accessible 24/7 to a patient, right? So I think there's a huge opportunity here for private hospitals in India or government hospitals, that they can free up their, physician staff, and they can make it available 24/7, 365 days, that you have a personal doctor with you all the time in form of a bot. So I think Dr. Amit has raised his hand, so I would stop here and maybe he can add to this.
Well, absolutely. Sachin, you have summarized it very, in a nutshell. Customized in-house Medline can be created with, in-house tech team or in collaboration with these open source companies, and have virtual, bots. I can call it doc bots to help, the patients to kind of get a pre-screening or just a information being passed on, in which the patient asks the physician or a doctor on a virtual platform. So I'm sure, I can share a few companies later who are hospitals who are using this as a demo in their hospitals to kind of see how this is impacting on creating a value chain in their healthcare delivery model.
Definitely. And I think last I would like to add, Varsha, is that on the diagnostic side, I think often in tertiary care, there are scenarios where people need a second opinion, and it may be difficult to find a second opinion. So there, I think AI driven diagnosis, that what Professor Venkat was asking, can an AI read a MRI or a CT scan? So I think those kind of services as a baseline second opinion may be used by the physicians themselves just to see if they are missing any diagnosis, or used by a patient, just to see if they want a machine driven second opinion. So I can stop here, Varsha.
Okay. So you have provided a thorough and informative answer to my question, Sachin.
Yeah,
Uh,
my pleasure.
yeah, so I appreciate your effort and expertise, and I'm done with the questions here.
Okay, so sounds good. And I think if there are no further questions, maybe we can conclude the session. At least I would like to thank everyone personally from my side and also on behalf of InnovatioCuris. Thank you, everyone. And we look forward to your collaboration on this topic. If there are any queries where we can support in your organization with a similar training program or anything else that you think could be useful, we are more than happy to do that. Thank you very much.